Hello and welcome to Stress Less with me, Jess. My special guest today is Erika Andreessen. Hello, Erika.
Hello, Jess.
Before we get started on our today's episode, I just want to remind everybody that this year again in September, we will be doing our fundraiser for suicide prevention awareness on Thursday, September 28th. So let me know if you have any questions, and all the information will be in the bio. So let's get started with our guest today, Erika. I'm so excited to get started with you because you have a very unique background, and in a good way, right? You know, we all come from something. And so hearing your experience and what brought you to where you are now is really awesome. So let's get started. You're a recovering lawyer after nearly 2 decades in both corporate finance, the world, and the military. You became a subject matter expert on national security and disaster response while advising different commands and also during high-risk situations in Afghanistan. Your work with actual disasters led you to attain your Master's of Public Affairs. You left active duty in 2020 and since started your am I pronouncing this correctly? EAAS Consulting,
Yes.
LLC, with a goal of keeping businesses in business. Love that. To that end, she authored How to Not to Kill Your Business, Grow Your Business in Any Environment, Navigate Volatility, and Successfully Recover When Things Go Wrong, and Conversational Introduction to Business, Continuing and Enjoy CBCP practitioners and business owners alike. Wow, not done yet. Professor of Emergency Management for MPA program at University of Texas, El Paso. She's been quoted extensively in articles for Forbes, Dark Reading, Smartsheet, Money Geek on issues, business continuity, and disaster preparedness. Oh my goodness. Like I said, super mouthful, but you know I did not do that justice because it's only a couple of sentences of who and why you're so amazing. So can you please do, without me butchering your bio, can you just tell me why you're so amazing and what you do?
I don't know if it's why I'm so amazing, but I try to be amazing in that I come from a place of real purpose where everything I've done, I've made a lot of pivots, clearly, because I said I'm a recovering lawyer. I started off as a corporate lawyer, which I didn't really want to do. And I've made a whole bunch of pivots throughout my life based on what really mattered to me. So doing corporate law in the early mid 2000s, world economy collapsed. I was not very happy helping rich banks stay rich anyway. And then when I was defending them for destroying the economy, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I was at the time doing pro bono work for veterans. And I was like, I want to do more like this because it feels good. And I'm using my law degree for something awesome. So I decided to join the military because charging veterans felt dirty. So I took a significant salary cut to do that. And because it felt right, I wanted to help. And then throughout my military experience, I wound up getting lucky. I consider it lucky, and having to work through and advise on some natural disasters where my installation was located. And that's what really started my passion for emergency management. I happened to get also lucky again with every job I had after that in the military dealt with disasters or national security. We're doing like risk management on a very, very, very high level. So not just most likely, least likely, also most deadly course of action, because when you're in a war zone, that's something you have to think about. But these are all principles that businesses can use. And I had an idea in 2016 while I was deployed. I was reading a business review article on businesses that suffered through Superstorm Sandy. And they were all asked the same question. And the final question being, what are you doing to prepare for next time? And almost all of them said, oh, this isn't happening again. It's like, you are so wrong and you need to pay me to tell you why you're wrong and how to fix it. So I was kind of stuck with not being able to do anything about that business because I was active duty. And then I decided in January 2020 to get out, and I had to put my paperwork in 6 months in advance. So had I known that a pandemic was coming, I might have chosen a different course of action. And then also during the pandemic, business continuity exploded. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be late to the party. And a friend of mine's like, Erika, you do realize that you are your product. It's you. And that's actually where the name of my company came up from, EAS. It's a play on software as a service. I'm Erika as a service because you get me and my expertise. So I decided that it was more important to me to help businesses. And because I think business continuity is really easy if you know how to do it. And it's stuff that we do every day. So the two most common examples or analogies I like to make is One, if you have a goal of being outdoors, either for a run or a walk, the first thing you're gonna do is check your weather app. And that one piece of data is going to create a decision tree. What time are you going out? What are you going to wear? All things to make you comfortable as you achieve your goal or experience the least amount of discomfort to achieve your goal. Super simple, right? And then another example is if you want to go from point A to point B, having a map is great. If you had an overlay of that map with all the potholes and the 2-lane highway, then you know to be in one lane versus the other. But that's only risk mitigation, which is not eradicate a risk. There's still possibilities for issues. So if there's like cattle on the road, which you never know are going to leave, or if there's like a rock slide, you don't know when anyone's coming to clean it up. It could take a while. What business continuity is when you're stopped, you pop open your trunk, pull out a bucket full of asphalt and a shovel, fill in the pothole in front of you and keep going. So that's to help business owners stress less. That is really the purpose of my job. And I'm empowering business owners. Like I don't want to be the person who lords over the puppet master. Like you're going to do this, you're going to do this. It's like, no, I'm going to teach you how to fish. So you can take what I'm teaching you and proceed and go on to have a very secure business so you can grow with that. And know that if you're going to face any kind of disruption or disaster, and most people think that business continuity is just for like natural disasters or storms or anything like that. No, what if you have a vital piece of machinery that goes down? What if one of your key leaders happens to leave, either of their own volition or because they died? This is something that causes a disruption in your business. And if you're prepared for that, then you stress less. And it's awesome. You see, we have a perfect Jess.
I love the way you broke down like the risk management and like just all of that makes so much sense. And I think, like you said, one, we're doing a business, we're learning all the new things, and there's a new guru telling you to do this and do this TikTok dance and then do this, and your business will be always successful. But kind of to your point is that we don't know when life's going to happen. We don't know when the next hurricane's going to happen. We don't know when the rock slide is going to go down. We don't know if we're going to hit a pothole. We don't really know. Can we prepare ourselves? Yes. And how do you prepare yourselves? And I think that's what you're really saying in the sense of life is always going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about it? And to your point too, when we go outside and we plan a barbecue for outside, we're checking the weather because if I have to get a canopy, I'm going to get a canopy. Right? So we're always having these kind of, talks with that. How are we doing that with your business? And I think it can be very, right? We can be very scary when we talk about our business because it's our baby and we want to protect it. And when you think about a baby, it's nothing's ever going to happen to it. I'm just going to keep it in this little bubble and it's going to be perfect and safe. And that's not how life works. So I think you're kind of bringing the reality, but with being practical at the same time.
Right. And even with another stressful situation, another analogy is business continuity planning is like estate planning. So if you haven't done your will, your healthcare proxy, do you think you're going to be of a sound mind and be able to make good decisions when it's like, oh God, my loved one is now been brought into a hospital because they were in an accident, they're in a coma, I need to make decisions, who's going to make the decision? And they're going to, all this stuff, if you had everything in place while it's happening, like I said, it's not about achieving your goal with the most amount of discomfort, it's achieving your goal with the least amount of discomfort. I can never promise that you're going to be scot-free without any types of hiccups or bruises along the way. But at the end of the day, it's going to cause you to have less of a kick in the bank account if you do this in advance.
And it's so mind-boggling because you're absolutely right. Like we hear again with these gurus saying, oh, if you do it this way, nothing will happen. And that's just impossible.
It's a lie.
It's a
even
scam.
I can't tell you. I am a business continuity expert. I cannot even guarantee you 0% risk. I cannot guarantee you 100% success. I can move the needle significantly. If you're at a chance of like 60% success, if I can get you to 80, that is a significant bump. It's not right, 100, but it's 80. So quantifying that is one thing. And everyone's like, oh, I've done risk management and mitigation. But again, you can only mitigate, not eradicate a risk. And oh, I have insurance. But insurance just transfers the financial burden of the risk. So think about a car accident. Are you made whole immediately because you have insurance? Heck no. You got to go through the paperwork. If the other person is uninsured or underinsured, that takes longer. Did you wind up having rental on your insurance? So, you're going to be without a car for a month, a week. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but, you're made financially whole eventually. So insurance is not the answer. You still have to do things. Like I said, it's your baby. You spend all this time creating this thing and you have a mission to support the community. You have a mission to contribute to the community and make everybody's lives enhanced by having a business doing what you do. And then you're like, nah, didn't, okay, well, sorry, didn't really plan for that.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like you said, insurance is great, and you definitely need it. You're not saying don't have it, but there's other things in place. It's not just the bare minimum if you're going to put all this time and money into it, right? So, in the sense of if you could give one piece of advice to a person, maybe they've been into business a couple of years, and life, like you said, life can happen. Is there one piece of advice that you might be able to give a business owner?
First, it's never too late to do business continuity. And it's also never too late to learn what you wish you knew earlier. So if you're like, oh, I already went through this disaster that's been terrible and I've been messed up, well, you still have the opportunity to be better for next time because you've learned. That's the wonderful thing about failure. Failure, you should welcome. Every entrepreneur knows about failure. It helps you. You've learned so much. So embrace failure. And even though this is continuity, your plan can potentially fail, but it'll be better next time. And the other thing is, and everybody talks about, like you said, all these gurus saying, oh, just get your sales dialed in, get your marketing dialed in. Okay, I want you to have a cash register that still opens to take all that money in because you've done all those things. So look at your business and see it as an investment. This is a cost saving program because the statistics are for every $1 you spend in preparation, you save $7 on the back end. Do things on your terms, not the disasters terms, not the disruptions terms, not the terms of the contractors who are coming in because there's now a lot of competition from other businesses who need the services that you need because they didn't prepare. So do it in advance. And it's never too late to be in advance, honestly, because time is a construct anyway.
I absolutely love that for so many reasons because I think a lot of times when you and I have been on different podcasts, got interviews and things like that. And then one of the main questions a lot of people ask is, what would you tell your younger self as an entrepreneur? What would you tell somebody? And a lot of it's like, oh, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But I love how you're kind of twisting and going, even if you wish you knew then, you can still know now, right? So it doesn't matter. There's no, you can't learn something now, right? So what am I teaching myself now? And I absolutely love that because I think we're taught, oh, well, sucks you didn't know that before, just keep moving. You know what I mean? It's like, no, okay, let's now learn from that. And what can we do now? So I think that is so beautifully said. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
So how can people work with you? That you obviously have your book, which is super awesome. And that's, easy to get to, right? So and I'll put all this in the notes, but it's how to not kill your business. How to not kill your business is the name of your book, right? And so, but if they get the book, how can they actually work with you? What does that look like?
So the book is the lowest barrier point of entry, like $5 in Kindle, $20 for a paperback. There is a worksheet at the end of this book. I ask questions all throughout this book. I get you thinking. Like I said, I do it conversationally because I'm meeting the reader where they are. Business continuity does not appear anywhere in the title. It's a book on business continuity, but you don't know that because you don't need to know the term. You need to know the concepts. So I am asking you to think throughout the entire book. I'm saying, hey, what about this? Have you thought about this? So that's the first thing. I'm getting you percolating, and that'll already move the needle for you. There is a worksheet at the back, gives you very rudimentary ability to build a very simple business continuity plan. Again, you move the needle significantly. The next step is I have a 12-week course where 1 week is academic. The second week is a 1 hour one-on-one with me, where you're giving homework every single week of the academics to know your business. Because you can't just say, hey, I need a business continuity plan. You need to do it for me. No. This is about you learning the ins and outs of your business. I'm guiding you on how to do that. I don't know your business, so I can't tell you where your pitfalls are unless you tell me what your business is. And then I can ask you, all right, well, is it like this or like this? Like I'll ask very simple questions because the thing is most people cannot grade their own paper. They can't edit their own paper. It's too close to them. They know too much about their own business. You have somebody asking you questions like a 5-year-old, and I do that on purpose. And it's like, oh, well, I've never thought about that. So you get an hour one-on-one with me every other week after, like I'll direct your homework more. So that's a 12-week program. Or you can do targeted specific engagement with me where I've got people who've called me and like, hey, I need to do a business continuity plan. I already have these things in place. I need the extra part. I'm like, okay, I'll work with them on that. So I'll tailor it to them. Or if you have a business continuity plan or you think you have a business continuity plan, You could also engage me to review it and see if it's been optimized and to help you do that if you wish. And then also I can do exercises. So it's one thing to have the plan. Congratulations, you got a plan, but you don't actually exercise it. Then again, because what you need to know is, you know, you have best laid plans, right? And then you're actually in the moment and things don't work. You're like, oh no. It's better to find that out in advance. You need to exercise the plan. I've written exercises for the military, or I think the smallest one I did was about 200. The largest one I did was 4,000 soldiers. So I can do that for businesses too and help guide them to make sure that whatever continuity plan they have is actually effective.
The way your life experience is intertwined with this is just so crazy. We don't have enough time to even try to dive in all of this. This is so amazing. So I'm so excited. There's so many ways. I think the best part about what you do, there's so many different levels for people to work with you on. So you remember that maybe they're just going, okay, I just need to just open a book and get started. I don't know. Let me breathe in a little bit. And then there's people who are going, give me all hands on, hold my hand, get me going. And you have that as well. So I think that's super awesome. So the next part is I want to talk to you about how you specifically handle stress. So my first question for you is, what is one way your business brings you stress?
Um, it's really hard to construct a schedule that I need to stick to. Like I did so good in January. I'm like, you're going to work from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. max. And then you're going to read 10 to 20 pages of a personal book. And then you're going to do some guitar lessons. You're just going to chillax. Yeah, that went to hell after 3 weeks. I liked it. It was great. And then it just wasn't sustainable because I wasn't committing to it. So that was a hard thing to do. I think that's really hard, is committing to it, because, you know, if you want to go out and do stuff, as not, I don't have a weekend. My work is always needs to get done, and I will always have something done. So if I'm thinking, all right, well, I can do something until 10, I can just mess around and maybe go to the gym until 10 a.m. That's great. My day shifts. So
Yeah.
I can work to 10 p.m. or I can work, you know, as early as I want, but I have a very hard time with, well, you kind of slacked off a lot today. So then you really got to nail it. So that's one of the things that my business causes stress on, is that.
I think it's a great example. I think especially for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, that is something we all tend to struggle on at some point or another, or continuously.
Mhm.
um, what
Yeah,
do you,
actually, I remember when I first met you, we got introduced. I'm like, hey, I have to cut off my schedule for networking right now because I'm too, because my calendar wasn't blocking. I was filled for 3 weeks and didn't expand beyond 3 weeks. And I'm like, and I'm leaving it that way because I need to like calm this down and organize my professional networking to be only on 2 days a week, because that also takes up a lot of time.
networking is a job in itself. That, I
It
mean,
is.
if I could just, that's what I'm doing my next podcast on. It's just someone that just, it's just a straight networker or something. It is, yeah, it's a job within itself. It's crazy. What is one way you practice self-care?
So I recognize when to say when. So when someone's like to say when, and I know when to say when.
Yeah.
And I first experienced that when I was writing my book. I reverse engineered my book based on the release date I wanted. A very specific reason that I was releasing the book on the day that I did. It was the 1 year anniversary of my incorporation and the 2 year anniversary of my dad's death, because what I wanted to do was honor his death by making it a happy anniversary and something that he'd be proud of. So I was like, great, September 29th. Now I need to go back. I need to do this lead in for this lead in for this. And I was like, oh, I got 2 weeks to write my book. And I was like, all right, you got to write in 2 weeks. And I'm sitting there and writing. And then sometimes I just could not. I just couldn't do it. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Take a break. So I would take a break, watch a YouTube video, maybe take a nap. I'm like, okay, now come back. I would give myself permission to take a break. And that's how I do a lot of self-care. It's like, if you're not feeling it right now, don't force it. Take a break, go do something else, and then you'll come back. It's not even that guilt is driving me to come back. It's like, no, okay, I gave myself a break. Now come on. I made that agreement with myself. It's like, all right, we're negotiated. We're good. Now let's come back.
Permission to give yourself a break. I don't think entrepreneurs, parents, I mean, there's that goes into so many people's, self-care, that it's not just us. No, I love that. Okay, Erika, let's get into our lightning round. You ready?
Yes.
Favorite thing to do in the summer?
Be in water, whether that's a lake or the ocean. That's my favorite thing to do.
Favorite day of the week?
I would probably say Saturday, because one of my favorite traditions is when I wake up in the morning, I get the New York Times review, and Saturday mornings they have one of the things, it's the real estate section. And there's two things I like. It's like, what can whatever amount of money get you? And it gives you three houses in different areas. So I'm like, cool, I could see the range of what that is. And then the other is play our game. They give you a person or a couple who are looking for a certain type of home, and they give you the three things that they looked at. And then based off of what you know about them, the first question they ask is, which one would you choose? And then what would they choose? And I love playing that game, although they get kind of tricky because they're like, no, they picked this other one. They made a bid for the one that you picked, but they lost out. I'm like, well, then I won. I knew the one that I wanted. So,
I feel like I'm going to go get the Times just for that purpose. I think that's way too fun.
yeah, so I love Saturdays for that.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Hey, I think that's a type of self-care, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What is your favorite breakfast?
I am such a creature of habit, so I alternate two things for breakfast every other day. But if I'm having a special treat, I would absolutely have some stuffed French toast.
And what is your favorite store?
Ooh, that's I'm not the biggest clothes shopper, right? So I don't have a favorite store for that. Oh, I know, got the answer. As I've ever since I was younger, when I lived in New York City, because I'm from New York City, I would go to the store called Fish's Eddy. And every time I'm back home in New York City, I go to Fish's Eddy. And it is a store that's got plates and dishes and glassware. And when I was younger, I used to walk around the store and imagine that I was having dinner parties, and I would select the different types of flatware or plate decorations and anything like that. I'm like, okay, when I'm older and I'm an adult and I have, dinner parties, I'm going to do this and that. And I still do that. I still walk through that store. I don't, sometimes I buy something, but by and large, I don't. But I just love the walking around and having this time to imagine this life where I'm like this fabulous dinner host with a long table and people are always over. So that's probably my favorite store.
I love these stories so much. Erika, what is the best way for someone to contact you?
I would say you could email me at info@eaasc.com. You need the C for consulting because somebody else got the EAS first. I also would say LinkedIn, but I always say in these podcasts, if you're gonna get me on LinkedIn, send me a note. I don't like naked requests, so I tend to not accept them. And I get a whole bunch of naked requests after podcasts. I can see, like, I'm like, I know where that person's from. I'm like, but I won't accept it because I have less than 500 connections for a reason. Because I actually interact with these people. So I don't want someone to say, oh, one of your connections. And it's like, well, I don't really know that person. I've had a conversation at least with every single one of them. Wow. So if you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn. Yes. You can read all about me. I'm happy. You can follow me. But if you want to connect with me, send a connect request, send a message.
Yeah.
And then I am more inclined to engage with you at that point.
Love it. Last question. What is the one piece of advice you want listeners to take away for this episode?
What would be self-serving for me to say do a business continuity plan?
No, it's fine.
No, I think so. I spoke on this at a conference recently, and I think this also ties in good with the theme of your show. It's make sure you're living your life according to the best standard, and that standard is yours. So when I left corporate law and it was a $70,000 pay cut, that didn't make sense to a lot of people, but it made sense to me. It was my standard because where I was going. When I put in my paperwork to leave the military, and then there was a pandemic, I left unemployed. I wasn't supposed to be leaving unemployed. The job I was leaving for went away. But this all worked out because of various things that happened immediately after. Being unemployed helped when my dad died because I was able to take care of my mom and the estate and, myself to a degree, and then started the business. I could have pulled back my paperwork and stayed on active duty with a significant salary and guaranteed employment. I decided not to do that because it didn't make sense to me. Yeah. And then applying for legal jobs, continuing to be a lawyer makes sense for a lot of people. But I'm like, it's not what I want to do. I want to do this other thing. So the standard and don't even worry about it because it makes sense to you. It's the right standard. So that is my advice for everybody.
Thank you so much for joining my podcast today. I really appreciate all the insight you gave everybody today. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.